session, and we'll have a little break in between the two in case you want to go to a different session for the second one. First, we have John Canning from here at LLAS, who's going to be talking to us about open access research into teaching more foreign languages. So,
thank you, John. If you want my slides, they are already available in the Humbox. It's humbox.ac.uk/4018. So if you'd like them to follow along or download them, they're available for you right away. I suppose I'm just going to open this. This is our website called yazicopen.org.uk. The phrase yazik is Russian for language. Unfortunately, I found out it was German for it was Turkish for shame, which didn't. I wasn't too impressed when I found that out afterwards. But never mind. I'll just stick with it. So I'll be talking a bit about open access. I'll be talking a bit about the technical aspects of having built the site, and a few things about some lessons that I might have learned from it. My personal circumstances, I suppose, started this off. I was working for the LLAS Subject Centre as it was then. We lost all our funding, basically. I had to think of something else to do. I had to reapply for my job, and I was offered 4 days a week in the new formation, and this obviously left me with having to think about how I used that extra day per week, and actually using that time, not allowing my LLAS job to sort of encroach on that, but to make sure I had my own projects which were focusing on that time. I suppose over the in recent years I've come across various issues, one of which is my research. Is if you want to buy my articles, you can pay about $25 or something for a 10, 15, 20-page article when it's behind a paywall. And this makes me particularly cross, bearing in mind that I obviously don't see any of that money at all. So it doesn't help me, it doesn't help my university, it doesn't help any of the editors, it doesn't help the journal particularly, it just helps the publisher make more money. And I suppose the third aspect was, there's lots of talks about MOOCs, these mass online open courses, open educational resources, but talking about this teaching material, all this open access to teaching, what about the research upon which this teaching is based? Is it really any use to have open resources that when students participate in the course but they're unable to access the original research that you are talking about? That concerned me somewhat. And when I've been listening to some of the presentations on MOOCs, they are open and people can participate. But do they have access to your university library as part of their free? Probably not. So they're coming across paywalls every time they try and research something or find out a bit more. And I'm fortunate enough to work here at the University of Southampton, have a library card. I can access virtually whatever I want, and my university will get me things on into library lane if I don't have them. But not everybody in the world has that benefit. So, for example, this is what you see. So I logged on at home, and this is an article that a colleague and I wrote, and you can see there you've got your $25 plus VAT in order to download that article. This one is actually available on open access if you Google it carefully, because it started off as an open access journal run by the University of Glamorgan, which they then got a commercial publisher for, and subsequently it ceased to become an open access journal. So that's sort of one of the side points. But yes, you can read that for free. If you Google it, you'll be able to find the alternative URL where you can see that for nothing, if that's a particular article you wanted to. But if you're coming from outside, this is what you see, and it's just a bigger thing, and they make sure that you have no excuse for not being able to pay. They give you multiple opportunities to pay your $25 for my work. So this leads me on to open access, and the open access, people seen this logo before? This is a sort of international movement. It's about free, immediate, and permanent online access to full text of research articles for everyone, anywhere in the world. And that's something which doesn't happen with most journals. there are different kinds of open access, and one of which is the gold open access, where the author pays, basically they're funded by the author paying for publication. Not too keen on that. Green, where you self-access work that's already been, which was previously closed, but you can self-archive, and there are certain regulations that allow you to do that. Or diamond, which I really like, which is free to read, free to publish. I think that's where we want to go, and I think that's all possible. That's another attitude. Who makes money from journals? Well, the taxpayer gives us money, or the students do increasingly with their fees to do research. We do our research, we research for free, we review for free, we edit for free. Universities make no money, we make no money as individuals. The commercial publishers then ask universities to pay them for the privilege of being able to read the research their own employees have done. So the only winner really here is the commercial publishing outfits. This makes me very, very angry. Finch report. Some people heard about the Finch report. I think this was actually possibly a sort of case where the proposed cure is worse than the disease, to be quite honest. Favoured gold open access, partly because the model was very science-based, and fees sometimes can be in excess of £1,000 author publication fees. And a lot of some people in sciences say, well, it's a very small part of the grant. Those of you who work in humanities and social sciences know that £1,000 is not a small amount of a grant. It usually is your grant. So the idea you have, this bit of money sloshing around to spend on publication is a big problem. If you don't have a grant, which most of us probably don't for the most part, we may do from time to time, but we're having to keep on publishing our research whether we have it or not. If you come from a poorer institution, it could be in the UK or it could be anywhere in the world. If you're an independent scholar, anybody here who maybe has finished a PhD and found themselves without affiliation or without a library card is in this situation. And one thing that made me very cross as well, the solution proposed by the Finch report was to give more money to universities to make sure the publishers still made all their profits. That's another problem. Another one is about people sometimes criticise open access for encouraging low quality and predatory journals, and some of these journals, which in inverted commas somebody's called predatory, are actually charging quite a lot of money for you to publish with them, with no peer review, and they just want your money and they'll stick it on some website that's dreadful, and there's an entire blog devoted to that process. So it's a case of being a bit careful, I suppose, if you're going to pay for publishing open access. So the sort of solution I had was to set up this website, yazikopen.org.uk, and the idea was this is actually a directory, I suppose, or a portal of looking at which catalogues online resources in sort of language teaching. So this is the website that I built. You can click on, there's a quick keyword search there, and you can find things, and it'll give you an entry like that with the abstract keywords. You can rate the item, you can make comments as well. I do insist people log in using a sort of Twitter or Yahoo. It's a sort of open ID piece of software there, and when you click on that, you can get to there, and you can, in this case, you can download the PDF. So, this is all open access. No point did you have to put in any credit card details, log in, say who you were, register. It's all there, and there you are. You've got somebody's PhD thesis there. If that's what you want to. So it's all been sort of catalogued in that way. What else is here? I called it a monthly newsletter, but that's probably a bit optimistic because it depends on how often I have to do it. List of some of the journals which are in it. So So that's on there. These are just some of the journals that are available, and I've catalogued. Yeah, I've catalogued as much as I've had time to. They're not all fallible, but they're all there. We have I think about 4,500 items now on this website, and every single one is open access. It should be. I've got a bit about open access here. Yes, so you've got external links and some YouTube videos I've put into the. This one's quite amusing. Maybe if we have time, we might look at it. But, it's a sort of hypothetical conversation between a scientist and a publisher. Yes, so you can also sort of search using any sort of keywords that you'd like to. And, I can bring you up to some different. So bring you up some things there. This is from Eric. So. Yeah, so that's where we are. So it's I think it's fairly basic to use. So that's where I am with the website. The other aspect, I suppose, just going back to my PowerPoint. Yeah, funding zero. This was something I built entirely myself. There was no sort of external funding involved. It was a private project, very much nobody particularly demanded it, but I just thought I'd like to do it. I wanted to learn new skills at the time, and I became increasingly interested in this open access, and I thought it would be a good thing to build. I built it in Drupal, which is open source sort of web development software. Notably, it's the basic core software plus contributing modules. If you know Drupal, you may know that has a sort of core to it. Then you can add, thousands and thousands of different modules that people have produced, and you can add these on to enhance your website. And the one that's sort of is very much the motor of this website is called Biblio. So that's, and I've got it hosted by a company called Kloop.net, and I mention that partly because some web hosts, if you're planning a project along these lines, aren't very good at coping with certain types of website. Particularly in Drupal, because it's quite memory intensive, though it's very good in what it can do. Just tend to use up quite a lot of memory. Issues needed to learn Drupal, and the thing was, I'm not a web developer. I don't have a background in web development. I've done a bit of HTML in the past, and done stuff with WordPress a bit, but I needed to learn from somewhere. So my main sources, I suppose, were online support for Drupal and the Drupal for Dummies book, and that's where I started about 12 months ago or so. I had lots of false starts, let's say, and it was about my third or fourth attempt before I had what I really wanted to in terms of the basic infrastructure there. Memory required. Yeah, it is quite memory intensive, and some web hosts are a bit difficult about that and try and restrict you. Say at the bottom now, the first hosting company I had was very poor, and their customer service was totally useless, and they seemed to know less about web development than I did, which scared me actually at the time. The other thing is I don't, and I still don't, always understand the documentation that comes with the modules. One of the things about open source software, of course, is it's there as it is. Sometimes people develop great stuff, but they don't necessarily write good instructions or good documentation to help you use it. And sometimes you have to sort of figure these things out yourself, or find other people who've got the same sort of problem. So there's a lot of sort of searching on forums and things like that, and finding out what people were doing with things. And so that's another thing. And when you're using something for free, there's no one you can hold to account. If you pay for a piece of software, then you can call them. If it goes wrong, you can say, this has gone wrong, please fix it. But when somebody's just doing it in their spare time, like everybody who develops Drupal, or a lot of people who develop Drupal, then it's not really feasible. Other issues, I suppose, one of which is time. Like everybody else, I'm pressed for time, and other things sort of get in the way. I mean, this doesn't bring me any income, so subsequently it's hardly my first priority, and plus over the past few months I've neglected it a bit more. One issue is keeping it up to date, I suppose. It's the occasional newsletters. I did try and do one monthly, but I don't really have time to do that. I maintain Twitter and Facebook pages. The Twitter is at Yazzik Open. So I've got that there. And the other issue, I suppose, is trying to get community participation, which maybe hasn't quite emerged in the way that I might like, or maybe I just haven't found the ways forward with that. Keeping version up to date is one thing I didn't really think about too much, but you take for granted when you work in a university, for example, where you have a sort of an IT support unit, we call them iSolutions here, and they take care of all this stuff, making sure that things are up to date, that the web development is using the most recent software. So yeah, you do have to be your own sort of security guard with your website, which maybe I'm not particularly used to doing. The other thing is, of course, as it is, I have a very multifaceted role really. I'm a web developer. I'm the one who catalogues everything. I have to do the design, the technical side, the security, the social media, and I have to pay out my own pocket to host it and finance it. So, that's a bit of an issue. And any ideas you have along those lines, or if anyone would like to get involved, then I'd be very interested in talking to you. Selected open access journals. These are just some of the, just a handful of the journals. You may be familiar with some of these, but you may not be. Everything available in these journals is free to access wherever you are in the world. So there's a full list on the Yazzik Open website. Future, where am I going in from here? Getting community involvement, how do I go about doing that? I suppose these, in some ways, there's a question mark there because I sort of want input and ideas from people. Adding material, commenting, keywording, all these things take a long time, and some of the articles are not keyworded or not keyworded very well, because I've just looked at the titles and sort of had a bit of guess at the keywords. We've got some that overlap, some that maybe not quite perfect. And somewhere I've downloaded stuff in French, for example, where the keywords are originally in French, but obviously the software doesn't know that the French word and the English word for something are the same thing. So you have to sort of do all that, deal with that manually as well. Financial sustainability, it doesn't cost me a lot of money, but it would be nice to sort of think of some way of keeping things going. And one thing I haven't really done much at the moment is to sort of try and get buy-in from the open access journal publishers, possibly, so they can provide the things in a format which is more easy to put directly online. So that's where I am with Yazzik Open. So it's yazzikopen.org.uk, Twitter at Yazzik Open, and as I mentioned, the slides are available on Humbox at humbox.ac.uk 4018. And if you've got any questions or comments, I'll be delighted to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have about 10 minutes for questions. So.
It's really fascinating, and I just wondered, when you say you could use help, concretely, what kind of help can you use for people like us?
Yeah, so one of which is trusted people who can go in and edit entries to maybe refine keywords, or if you think if there are missing abstracts, for example, because not everything is perfect. There are bits missing. Sometimes they're missing URLs. There's thousands of things there, and if you see something that you might fix it. So we obviously want trusted people to do this, and the other things, I suppose, are helping get things put together in a format which can be imported into the website, either in BibTeX or in RAS, for example. So encouraging people to perhaps put material in that sort of format, or help me with that, so they can sort of give it to me in that format, then they can be downloaded. Put there in a matter of seconds once it's in the right format. When it's in the wrong format, it's obviously takes me quite a while to sort it all out. Also adding things as well onto there for things which are not on there, and then putting those on. So I've had a bit of it. I mean, originally when I set it up, I allowed people to set up accounts, but I got mostly spam accounts. This is the thing I suppose I wanted to. But I don't want people playing around with my website when they're in it for the spam. But I also want trusted people doing it, so I suppose that's where my dilemma lies slightly. Not that I had any attacks or anything on the website itself, so I don't know what the real motives of the spammers are.
Hi, very interesting talk. So do you have direct links to, say, the directory of open access journals, and that populates your site when there's a new article that comes up in the area of a journal that you've already selected? Like, how do you do it? I mean, I'm assuming you're not doing it manually.
Oh, no, well, not entirely, no. I
Yeah.
mean, what I'm doing a lot of is where things are built in certain systems, like in OpenJournal, SaaS software they use. I integrate with Zotero and export, and I can bulk upload to it. You can add in individual entries manually as well, which is what I would do if, in the first instance, certainly if other people were, I was going to open it up for other people to contribute.
Sure.
But yeah, I do have my sort of bulk ways of doing things. Yeah, I'm not sitting there all day typing away and doing data entry. But I do a bit of that because you have to sometimes, because a lot of these journals are just standard websites. They don't put anything in any readable format that can be sort of accessed. So things like open journal systems, e-prints is great. Things are in that.
So you must be increasing the traffic to these open access journals. And if they knew that and the extent to which that was happening, would they then be happy to, or you'd be able to get hold of that data somehow about how they were getting to those sites?
Yes, that's
From your
interesting.
side, would they then be happy to help you if they?
Yes, I don't know really. I suppose I haven't really approached them to ask for help yet. I mean, that's part of the thing. So, and I don't know what help I need. So I mean, this is one of the sort of dilemmas. This is having a message when you approach people and looking why you're doing it and what you're entitled to. Something I need to think about. Anyway, it's all out there, so you can have a look. If you've got any comments, you can be delighted if you do.